Well, thank you very much for coming in and for doing this for us. This is wonderful.
Thank you
Really
very
appreciate your help.
Would it be, I guess we can post the copy of the presentation for that online?
Yeah.
That works with us. Thank you very much for our time.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
You are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but if you don't want to, it's all right. You won't hurt our feelings.
It gets pretty boring. You were the highlight of the meeting.
You don't
so
even have to have an
just
excuse.
so
You can just go.
it goes. Scott's going to be talking, so it's going to go downhill quick.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So Scott, we've had all four of us have done our park evaluations, and from what I see, the only thing that's like of an urgent matter is that there is a tree down in the East Loveland Nature Preserve on the O'Bannon Creek side of the trail. There's 3. I was just there today.
Really?
Oh, one.
Good Sunday, I saw 3.
Where was the other 2?
All on that side, along O'Bannon.
On the trail?
Mhm.
Well, there's one good sized tree down right on the trail. So if you are back by the footbridge,
It's a big.
it's between the footbridge and where the bird blind would be.
Okay.
I think they were all on the left side. If you go over the bridge, turn left. They were all on the left side by O'Bannon Creek.
Okay.
Chris was saying there's 2 more.
Oh, there's a small one. If you go all the way to the back end of the trail,
Okay.
go down to O'Bannon Creek. It's a smaller one. It's
Right. Okay. Yeah, we've had a couple weekends of heavy winds.
Yeah. And thank you very much for taking care of the ground hornet issue at the dog run. I went over there today and I did not see a single ground hornet, so appreciate that.
Is that what those were? I was there Sunday and they were swarming everywhere.
Yeah. And so I will. I'll go through all of these, and I'll get the pertinent information to Corey and Dave to send on to you
Okay.
as far as things that we think need your attention that maybe aren't already in your purview.
Great.
McCoy Park looks like it's really coming along. The bathroom floors look great. They were wet the day I was there, but it had been raining over the weekend, and I think it just came in from the outside.
Right. Yeah, sure. So we're getting the doors and everything. I'm sure you're aware of that. We're going to put heat in there, for the winter. So those will stay open year round going
It's great.
forward. So,
Nice.
yep. The roof is coming. I don't know, Corey.
They were supposed to be here today. I sent them an email. They didn't show. Contractor reliability is a little bit of an issue, but it is imminent. Imminent.
You said you're going to metal roof too on that.
Yes,
right?
sir. It'll match the shelter.
So,
It's evergreen.
And
I did not
things.
color match that. Full disclosure, somebody who can see that color did. So
Does anyone
Yeah.
have anything else from their park evaluations that need Scott's attention immediately?
I mean, I didn't. I mean, I had a number of things that I thought were needed to be addressed. I wouldn't call anything urgent,
Right.
but there were a couple of items that I would have called safety related. So in the very back of Phillips Park, along where it backs up against Simpson,
Mhm.
there appears to be what is leftover remnants of some sort of fence. Like it was a metal fence. The fence is long gone, but the poles are still there.
Oh, back behind the soccer fields?
Yeah. And so these poles are old, rusted, leaning forward, and it's in very close proximity where a lot of kids are running and chasing balls, and that felt very
Not in the playing area, though, right?
not
You're
in the
talking-
playing area, but like in close proximity, so that like if a ball were to be kicked off the field or something like that,
property.
I don't know, that felt a little dangerous to me.
I'll check it out. It could be an old property line.
Yeah, I mean, it does appear to be like where some boundary used to exist or something.
We saw that, Corey, when we
Yes.
walked that property.
we did. Yep. It's the old it looks like an old boundary
Mm-hmm.
fence.
I noticed over at McCoy on the pickleball courts that I don't know from the wind, but it became detached from the bottom. Like, it's just those little metal clips that
Mm-hmm.
you twist. But I saw that the fence was blowing out that way for the pickleball.
Pretty sure that's been taken care of. Which one was it?
It was at McCoy.
Okay. I
Pickleball
know
course.
lever was repaired. Probably. When were you there last? Do you know?
Sunday.
Okay. So that was McCoy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, keep going. And then a couple of other things I noticed. So also at Phillips, by the the fire hydrant or the water hydrant. There's some sort of pipe or something that's sticking out of the ground, and it looks like to me it needs to be capped. It looks like there's a foot could go in there.
I'll have to check that one.
Okay. And everything else I don't think was, I mean,
So you'll summarize those, Lisa?
Yes, I will go through them this weekend, and I'll get a report to you guys like early next week.
Because we,
Get it on your radar for spring, summer.
I talked to Eads today, so the small dog section and the dog park should be going in soon. Eads was the low bidder for the project, so and Corey and I did some very strategic measuring. So it's but it had to be structured a certain way so they could still have access. A lot of thought went into it from Becky, but you'll see how it works. How you're really allowing the small dogs a little bit of seclusion, so they won't, they can get into the drinking area too. So it was a little more detailed than we thought than just adding a section in there. So
How are you working that? How are you designing that?
I'll show you a little map we put together. Corey went up there and he made a little map. It's going to work. There'll be another access point, and it should be pretty good. And it's a good size. It's not too big, not too small. So we'll show you the layout, or you'll see it hopefully soon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, do you have anything?
No, I was just scrolling through my pictures that I took. Pictures, would it be helpful to send Corey, send you the pictures from what we've taken, just so you guys know what we're talking about?
I have,
Easier.
That is extraordinarily helpful. Yes.
I have pictures of all of mine as well.
Okay.
Why don't you guys send those
Send
directly
that in
to
an
Corey,
email.
and then I'll compile all of our information and send that over to you as well, and I'll turn all these in.
Excellent.
And I just I noticed over at McCoy Park, with one of the memorial trees to Robert C. McCoy and Jesse F. McCoy was missing. So I just thought throwing that on our radar as something to replace a memorial tree. It has the plate and stuff there. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a.
That's right up by the shelter.
I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Oh, well, I did have one more, and you guys have taken care of this in the past, but at West Loveland Nature Preserve, the pipes that run underneath the concrete, you guys have replaced a lot of those metal ones. I think you've got 3 of them replaced now. There's 2 metal ones. That's the only thing. It's just kids playing down there and stuff. That just worries me, just as a object to cut themselves on, rusty, and I know that's not an easy project though.
Yeah, that's yeah.
The water,
But you guys have taken care of a
the
couple.
water is flowing so much better over at West Loveland. I was over there after it had rained all weekend, and I mean it was damp, and the trail's pretty mossy, but it wasn't standing water and mud and sludge everywhere. So it's definitely an improvement over when we walked that last summer.
Yeah, that was nice.
Did you have a chance to look at the possibility of getting handrails to go up to Hidden Creek at both of those locations where the trail's so steep?
Did you?
I'm sorry. I was reading.
Did you have an opportunity to look at the trails there where you can enter West Loveland Nature Preserve from Hidden Creek? Those trails are super steep.
Right. So I have not. We were going to try to do some patching on that. Is that still the asphalt part that you're talking about? So we're trying to do some patching there, see what we can get to stay. But yes, I have seen it, but we haven't addressed it yet.
Okay.
So asphalt plants just opened up last week. I'm not sure what the best method's going to be there exactly yet, but yeah, we'll get to it. I mean, in short order.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be in the report.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for Scott tonight?
I think so. Appreciate you,
Nothing
Scott.
urgent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Old business. Do we have old business? Let's
I did have a
go ahead.
question. I noticed from the meeting minutes when Mr. Dahlmeyer was here, he was asking for volunteers to help with the trails at Phillips Park, and I wondered if anybody knew. If
I
he
actually
was-
saw a group of several people when I drove through here a couple weeks ago on a weekend, and they were shoveling mulch
Okay.
very efficiently
Okay.
and shuttling it back there.
Nice.
And
I was-
we've also had some correspondence with Mr. Dahlmeyer on a culvert
Mhm.
to help deal with a small swale, and Scott
We
took
dropped
care of that already.
pipe and
Yep. So that project continues, and I think the only other thing I will tell you, I think the Eagle Scout is going to commence. What was it in May?
Right.
They're going to pick up. We'll help pick up the materials. They're going to place the order, and then we're going to coordinate the pickup for that, and the Foot Trail Bridge. One of them can get started. So
It's a big process.
Yeah, I just
Guy's
want. I
got
was
a lot
just.
of work there. He's really getting it.
He. Yeah,
Unbelievable that he's doing it with
It
hand
is.
pruners.
it is.
Yep.
I wondered if
mind.
it wouldn't be a good idea to have maybe Krista post something on the city's page, Facebook page, asking for volunteers. If he's still looking.
we can certainly reach out to him and see. I'm sure until it's finished, he'll need every
Yeah.
ounce of manpower available that wants to be there. So.
Mhm. Okay. That's all.
Have we named those trails yet?
Just a couple of other updates real quick. Scott's getting ready to I guess, give the contractor the go to deal with Anniversary Park gazebo to sandblast and repaint that. And it'll match the other fixtures there, so it's going to go black.
Oh.
And then the pollinator garden, which we were successful in working with Tree and Environment to relocate that. And I actually like the way that really turned out and leads from the gazebo through there with the boulders and other things that are in that. And I think that's an enhancement overall to that. So that's just a couple of items that have taken place. And kudos to Scott and his crews for relocating all that, and Tree and Environment for assisting in that. So
Yeah, we got two small grants for Nisbet Park that will be, both of those will be sort of quick because they're, one's Claremont County Park grant for the next run of walks towards Carl Brown, and the other is, now that we ran the walk to the north that defines the free seating areas, we were able to get some money through the Hamilton County Board of Health to put in one of the seating areas, and both of those are on short time frames. So actually Corey just did the PO for the one for the sidewalk, and this is right on the plan. This is exactly what you see in the plan on how that thing was going to maneuver and tie into the big grand entrance in Carl Brown. So that, and then the smallest of the three seating areas was funded largely because it was only 15,000 in funding. So both of those will be off and running here pretty short order. That would be the two things for Nisbet. The last, we submitted a grant application through T-Mobile for the Wi-Fi at both of the tot lots. The play sets are already ordered; they're coming. But we got a quote from Cincinnati Bell to put because the whole process is to create these outdoor classrooms. So we got a quote from Cincinnati Bell to do this, and it was submitted. I just checked; it says pending. So that'll pay for the completion of that project. But the place that's just like last year, it'll take forever, just literally forever. So
Okay. Anyone else? Old business. All right. Dave, you want to talk about?
that was really just any time I'm going to council with a memo. I just thought you would follow that. Our lives has changed in the city. We're not building 40, 50 homes a year like they did back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Our impact fees, which were always a great source for road, but specifically for this committee, recreation projects are significantly down, averaging only $8,000 over the last few years. I don't see this community ever opening the door for a really large development, residential or a large high density apartment development. So part of that was Corey and I are going to begin. You can't just raise your impact fees. You have to create by law a methodology. And Tom Carroll and Jeff Wright did it many years ago. Corey and I are going to do it over the course of the summer. And the other part of that memo is just the way our impact fees read isn't really in compliance with various court decisions. So what you saw there was also sort of righting the wrong. And then in the memo, you'll see two of the larger projects. One is the pickleball court development at Kiwanis. And also, of course, there's a big ticket item that goes into Nisbet. Corey and we understand very likely that naming rights will largely be a big part of what happens to the amphitheater part of Nisbet. We would anticipate, but me and Corey, we don't know what we don't know. You don't just go knock on, hey Keith, Mr. Klusky, will you give us? No, this company structures it all together. So you can largely think that the amphitheater will be corporate named. And that actually helps you with some bigger grants because it shows business partners. So I think the key to the Nisbet Park development is the fact that the Harrison Street widening project was funded. And I know it doesn't sound related, but it is related because we've never been able to move onto the west side of Nisbet. We've been fiddling on the east side because it's going to look like Godzilla came through there with these storm pipes because it goes right through. But once those are completed, which will be brand new, upsized, they'll have, what are those called? Check valves.
Check valves.
So that largely when you see Nisbet flooded, it's because the water's coming through the storm pipes. That will allow the whole next wave of Nisbet. But we're really focusing on bringing in a private company to help us with the amphitheater. That's how people are doing it. That's how Blue Ash and Mason does it. The big park in Blue Ash Summit, that's how they funded some of their large components, and we're going to get with the game here. And so I think you're going to see over the next 2 years, we're just going to keep chipping away at that. But that design and the layout, Corey worked with the guy with the sidewalk, and Lynn Zook. If you ever question hiring Lynn, local person, she stops in and meets with us in the morning on her way downtown and helps us with even picking colors and things like that. So I think it's really going to be nice. So that was all. That sort of just I think we're just really moving along on the park, like what you're doing tonight, which works with Scott. The day-to-day stuff, but Corey's working away. Every year we're going to attack a bathroom, and like we did every year, we did the rest the play sets. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't think the city gets enough credit for how much time and money they're putting into it, and with that comes the fact that we're asking the developers to pay their what they call a proportionate share, and it needs to be modified. So think about pickleball courts. If you have 20 new homes in Chimney Ridge, for 30 new homes in Chimney Ridge, how many of those people are, based on the demographics, are going to want to use pickleball courts? Well, the days of us just repurposing tennis courts is sort of over because we don't have any left. Many communities, Corey did it in his former community, are building pickleball-only courts. There is a completely unused part of Kiwanis that is perfect for it. The parking, it's just a perfect area for that to do it. And I put a little very rough rendering in that memo. But that's $300,000, and park grant monies are about, like we just said, 15 here, 20 here. That's not going to do it. So we need to, and boy, is it wanted. We have pickleball people. Scott will, they're good people. They care about it, but I think those 4 courts down in Kiwanis would be a home run for that park. I really do. I think people would use them like crazy. So.
Oh, I think so too.
Where are you talking about putting them?
If you look at the picture in there, it's a, sort of the outfield of what is only used occasionally for some softball practice. It's so when you come into Kiwanis to the immediate left where the basketball
Right.
thing is.
Mhm.
It's that whole area all the way over to Harper's.
Okay.
So behind the basketball court.
Basically,
Along the side of those trees,
Okay.
4 courts.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't that wouldn't that be the outfield though, the softball?
yeah, but
they typically the kids that play there are so small. They just
yeah, we've already ran. I've already sent the plans to all of those. They've all seen them. They don't even use it.
Mhm.
And in reality, that whole ball field could be, Corey was saying, could be repurposed, but we're not going there because right now four is about all we could really afford. But those 4 will be used, and there's parking all along there if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. So, Dave, I had an observation though when I was reading through this impact fee stuff, and that is, it felt very low to me.
It is low.
It felt very low, and so I actually went online and looked at a couple of neighborhood communities, and from what I saw, it is very low, and I also back when this was originally established, there weren't $2 million homes in Loveland like there are now. And it feels very lopsided to say,
Yeah.
let's say that somebody in the Heights were to gut their property and do some construction. They would pay the same fee as somebody with a $2 million construction in Homerama. That feels very lopsided. Isn't there a way to stagger?
It is. Most communities are going towards bedrooms, and we can do other features, but you got six new townhomes going up on Oak that'll probably be $800,000,
Right.
and but may only have 2 bedrooms. It's coming up. What we're going to try to come up with is a method that also from the commercial and industrial. And I talked about this as council. What you're used to in the Commerce Park is here's a vacant land, here comes a new building. But what we're seeing now, so that triggers 0.5% of construction cost up to $5,000. But if everyone in the future is going to take the box and just redo it, it won't trigger it. So we're going to try to create the language that a major renovation to an existing building should trigger it. Look about what Corey spearheaded. Think about Love and Madeira Road 10 years from now, what it'll be. That's not going to be a lot of brand new construction. That's going to be a lot of shells and redos, and they would largely not be triggered into development fees. To impact fees. So it needs to be fair and proportionate.
Right. So so literally a $2 billion Homerama home would
Pays the same as
would
the
top out at $5,000.
No, that's for commercial industrial. It only pays $500 for road and $500 for rec. Exactly. If right now there's new units, affordable units being built on Highland, they will pay the same impact fee as $1 million home. And I know,
Yeah, that sounds bad.
give me that look. I know that's what we're trying to fix. But right now, you're not allowed to change it without a methodology.
Okay.
You're just not. And what we're looking at also is adding a police impact fee, a fire impact fee. Something we did in Richmond that was largely popular is every new single family home or any unit paid $50 into a tree fund. We had so much money into this little tree fund that we were out into subdivisions redoing tree lawns, and it was a big hit. So $50, they didn't blink an eye. That little village has got 400 new homes come in. Think about how many money's going to.
put that everything.
So the long and the short of it is you're going to try and fair this
We're
up.
going to fix it and make it equitable, proportionate, and bring in police and fire funds also. Those are only used for facilities, for trucks, for fire trucks, and for police cruisers. You don't use them for day-to-day operations. That's why I'm trying to fix that. I'm admitting a wrong, and that we're rewriting it to fix it. They're supposed to be in funds that are basically more like piggy banks,
Mhm.
not used towards general operationals. So we're fixing it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. Any other staff or committee comments? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
A second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dave.
Thanks, Dave.